Hello everybody, good to see you all. My name is Brian Kearns and I run a business called iBusiness Media, which I set up about 6 months ago to service companies who are looking for mobile marketing advice, and specifically for mobile application development. I specialise in iPhone and Android app development, so we're going to be talking today about where the market is at the moment for mobile, talking about smartphones in general, the technology behind them. And I'm going to run through a couple of examples in terms of what's out there, both within your industry and from outside your industry. I've had to go outside of construction, engineering and architecture to find some apps that will really demonstrate what can be done with smartphones, but I think it's quite instructive to do that. Just before I do start, have you all got can I ask a couple of questions? If you all have a website, everyone have a website? Yeah. Anyone have a mobile website? No? Show of hands? We have two. Okay, the two. So no one has a mobile website. Does anyone use a smartphone? Yeah? Okay, so about half the audience. Anyone that has a smartphone, do you use apps? Do you download apps? Yeah, okay, so we're pretty well forward. Just to give you an idea of where everyone's at in terms of their level. In terms of mobile then, we're very much in the middle of a revolution. It's very much the fastest growing media that's ever been here. Obviously faster than PC, faster than TV. Morgan Stanley put it very well when they called it an epic technology transformation, which is exactly what it is. The amount of app downloads are growing exponentially, and you can see there that it's forecast to be something like 24 billion apps downloaded in 2012. Just to take a step back in terms of mobile in general, there's almost more mobiles in the world than people. 1 billion people access the mobile internet in 2010, and that's going to increase year on year until the point sometime next year when more people will use mobile to get online than use a PC, which is a staggering fact. Smartphones, which are phones like iPhones, Blackberries, Android devices, will outpace feature phones by 2012. And again, just a couple of stats there on the amount of apps that have been downloaded, and the forecast app download figure for 2014 is 75 billion. So these numbers are out of this world. Europeans now spend more time browsing the web with their phones and using apps through their smartphones than they do reading newspapers and magazines, which is obviously bad news for someone like Rupert Murdoch, but good news for someone like me. So 80% of people keep their phones with them all day. It's one thing you won't leave the home without. So it's a really good place to talk to clients, to talk to customers. I don't know if anyone's heard of the term nomophobia. No? It is, believe it or not, the fear of being out of mobile contact, and it's become an actual word in the English language. So nomophobia will be in the Oxford English Dictionary next year. So that's how far things have gone. Mobile is very much part of our lives, and particularly smartphones right now. This is a graph just showing the growth in the smartphone market from 2004. A relatively gradual increase from 2004 to 2010, when we see a massive increase from the first quarter of 2010 until now, where it jumped from 15% to 30%. So 30% of all phones in the world at the moment are smartphone. In terms of market share by platform, there's four main ones out there at the moment. The blue corner you can see Symbian, which is the operating system that Nokia works off of. It's about to be disbanded, so it's still quite a big segment, because a lot of the developing world and a lot of the low to mid-range phones work off this platform. But Symbian won't be around in a couple of years' time, so that's going to get less and less. RIM is Research in Motion, which is the company that makes BlackBerry. Again, that's shrinking. Apple is holding its own in around 16–17%. Apple is never going to be, or the iPhone is never going to be, a mass market product, because it's very high end. So Android is the one that's going to be the tiger of the bunch, and that's going to eat into everybody else's market share over the coming years. Mobile in Ireland then, obviously we're Irish people, we like to talk. There's more mobiles than people in the country by a long shot. Of the 5 million or so subscriptions, over 1 million of them are smartphones now. That's reckoned to be 1.5 million by the end of the year. Again, app downloads are doubling year on year in Ireland. And approximately all smartphones in Ireland, approximately 80% of all smartphones in Ireland are either iPhone or Android devices. So just to bear in mind, if you're looking at developing an app, or if you're looking at downloading an app yourself, or even buying a phone. This is a piece of research done by Return to Sender last year. On the left side, that was the current state of play this time last year. On the right side is the forecast for this time this year. So they've been very, very accurate in terms of what's actually panned out. over 1.1 million smartphones, 600,000 of which are iPhones or Apple devices, and about 200,000 or just over 200,000 which are Android. This is a graph that shows the fact that Ireland is very much an iPhone-centric country. Almost 65% of all smartphones in Ireland are iPhones. So again, if you are looking to develop an app, it should inform your choice on what platform you go off of. This is a graph from the last year, so this is just the last 12 months of use. So you can see Apple has fallen quite significantly. The red line in the middle there, that's an Android. So again, up to about 25% from 0 in 2008. So it's grown very significantly again. So they're really the two that you want to watch, iPhone and Android, and the stats bear this out. Android will eventually take over, will eventually pass iPhone out. We don't know exactly when, but it's only a matter of time. They're just all the platforms that are available. We're just going to concentrate on the four main ones today. The first one is BlackBerry, which was a pioneering device years ago and very much introduced email to mobile and became the kind of standard business phone. It's taken a battering over the last 2 years, and its 55% share has fallen to 25%. One of the reasons that's happened is because BlackBerry is not app friendly. Well, there's many other reasons, but one of the, I suppose for today's purposes, the fact that it's not app friendly is the point. So people buy phones because of their apps in many cases, and BlackBerry just doesn't cut the mustard on that. Windows Phone 7 was launched in 2010, critically very well received. And they're, despite the fact that they've still got a low market penetration, their partnership with Nokia earlier on this year would probably be the saviour of both of those two companies in mobile. Despite the fact it's only been up and running since 2010, there's been 25,000 apps downloaded. The share in the States is about 10% of the market, and globally it's about 2%, so you can see a kind of a discord there. But this is very much one to watch. The Windows Phone will be a big device in years to come, and if you are looking at developing an app, whether now or down the line, it's definitely a platform to take into consideration. So the two big ones are obviously Apple and Android, slugging it out for market domination. I'm going to bamboozle you with some more stats now, so sorry, but it does inform the rest of the presentation. As of this month, there's 200 million Apple devices in the world, which staggeringly is up from 120 million only March of this year. So 80 million devices have been sold in the last 4 months from Apple. Obviously Steve Jobs is very happy with that. 15 billion apps have been downloaded, and 5 billion since 2011, since January 2011. So again, the growth is exponential, and it's seemingly unstoppable. Almost 500 million apps in the App Store. So it's a bit of a jungle in there, and it can be hard to find what you want. So again, when you're creating an app, or if you're looking to create an app, make sure that it stands out and make sure that you market it properly. 25 million iPads worldwide. Again, the iPad is going to be a device that's going to be very relevant for your own sector, whether it be architecture, engineering, construction, because of the size of the screen, because of the design elements that it has. And there's 100,000 iPad apps out there. In Ireland, as I said, there's 600,000 Apple devices. So what's the fuss about? This is the latest iPhone, which is an iPhone 4. There'll be an iPhone 5 along in a couple of months' time. So all of the things that the iPhone can do are listed there. And the beauty of mobile, or the beauty of the smartphone, is that it's convergent technology. So it combines many different functions in one device, meaning that you can perform many different functions and do things that were never thought possible. I'm not going to go through each one, but if you are developing an iPhone app or a smartphone app, try to use these functions to the best of your ability. Use the accelerometer, use the GPS, even use the media player on it, which is a relatively simple thing to do. But use the functions of the phone to make a good app. In terms of Android, again, relatively new kid on the block, around since 2008, which it came out of the Open Handset Alliance, which was led by Google, where basically all the other telephone manufacturers ganged up on Apple. So Samsung, LG, Motorola and HTC are all part of the Open Handset Alliance, and they all operate off the Android platform. More of an open standard to this, and I suppose that it can result in lack of quality of apps, but it just means that it's much of a more mass market product, and if you're looking to reach more people, then Android is definitely the platform that you need to be developing off. So despite the fact that it's only up and running a couple of years, there's still 100 million devices been sold, which is a huge figure, and it's the speed of which they're being sold at the moment that's probably the most surprising. There's 500,000 device activations per day globally, At that rate, it will catch up with Apple sometime probably next year, and will overtake Apple as the main platform. So Apple will no longer have domination there. Again, the amount of apps in the App Store are growing all the time, and in Ireland there's 200,000 Android devices. Again, that's growing every day. So what's the fuss about mobile? A lot of the reasons people buy a smartphone, as I said, is to use the applications. And it's not just about games. I'm going to concentrate on the iPhone now because this is just the phone I use. So apologies if there's any droids in the audience. You seem to have everything from productivity to utilities to reference to business. You name it, there's an app for it. That's not to say that there's still space out there. And particularly when I was looking for apps within the AEC sector, I found it quite difficult, particularly in Ireland, to find anything that will demonstrate what a good app is out there at the moment. I know Peter, who's going to talk to you afterwards, has a couple of apps out there that work really well. But generally, it's a sector that's been not very well serviced by applications. So I think there's an opportunity there for companies who are looking to get into the space. Does everybody have a Facebook page for their business? Yeah, some do. Does everyone have a LinkedIn profile? Yeah, okay. So we're kind of we're not quite there with it. You should have. That's all I would say. It's free marketing. Everyone should have a Facebook page. Everyone should have a LinkedIn profile, and your LinkedIn profile is basically your personal brand, and it needs to be promoted all the time. LinkedIn and Facebook are now being accessed through mobile, more on mobile than they are on PC. So these are two inherently mobile platforms, and if you're on either of these two platforms, update your profiles, engage with it, because people are actually looking through these, so they will come across you. So you don't have to spend any money on this. These are already installed on people's phones, these apps, so this is a way of already being part of applications that are on people's phones. And there's some fantastic productivity apps out there, particularly if you run your own business. Expensify allows you to log all of your expenses every month. So you take a picture of, for example, a credit card or a receipt with your mobile, it scans it in and it logs it with all the rest of them. And it tots it up for you and files everything away, so everything is kept. No need for a shoebox anymore. The invoice and estimate generator is, again, I use this all the time. It's for generating invoices on the go, and it can be done on the spot with a client. No need for internet connection. Salesforce, if you have a Salesforce or if you have a sales team in the field, is a great way of tracking the performance, or even for them keeping an eye on their own performance. This is an extension of their customer relationship management tool, and it works really well on mobile. Again, for your own businesses, obviously keeping timesheets and billing clients for time is really important, and there's an awful lot of apps out there which make you more productive when it comes to doing that. In terms of branded apps, and this is kind of my own area of speciality, been a couple of good ones in the last few months in Ireland. I've chosen 3 from different sectors, one from Accenture, one from KPMG and one from IBEC. They're basically brochure apps. There's nothing too complicated about them. They give information about the organisation, but what they do is they focus on the core brand value of that company, and they deliver information which keeps in line with that brand value. Accenture and IBEX are pretty standard, just information about employment law in IBEX case, and in Accenture's case, financial outlook. KPMG have gone a step further, and they've added a budget calculator. So it's given something back to the user. It's given a bit of functionality back to the user, so you can put in your salary last year, your salary this year, and it'll calculate the difference in your take-home pay in light of the budget. That's quite a handy one. And this is what drives loyalty with clients and with customers, and ultimately we would hope that it drives revenue as well if you keep your clients coming back. This is one of my favourite apps that's been launched in Ireland over the last year. It was marketed very well. Again, it's a very strong branding app for Zurich, the insurance company, called HelpPoint. This is a highly functional app which utilises the smartphone technology brilliantly that I spoke about earlier on. So the camera in your smartphone can take a picture. If you're in a car accident, takes a picture of the scene. You can email that along with your claim into Zurich directly through your app, and they tell you, or they say that you give your app application will give you priority in terms of your claim, so it puts you up the ladder when it comes to getting your claim processed. There's also a couple of really good features on it that use the phone to the maximum. There's a GPS garage finder on it, so if you have a crash, it'll tell you where your nearest garage is in relation to where you are, because the GPS obviously on your phone knows where you are. There's a flashlight on it as well, so a bit of a gimmick, but again it's just using other elements of the phone to create an all-round app. And again, it was marketed very well, and I believe it's been a huge driver of new policies for Zurich, because they've been seen as a market leader when it comes to this kind of thing. Sustainable Energy Ireland, which is probably a bit closer to a lot of your own sectors, launched the Power of One app last year, and again, highly functional app for use in the home, to manage your energy use. So you can put in your energy use, you log it in, you log in your energy costs, and it gives you back a graph in terms of your energy use throughout the year. You can see where it spikes and where it falls, so you can manage your energy a little bit better. There's a lot of energy saving tips in there as well. There's also an element of a challenge in it, so that when you get to, if you save a certain amount of energy, it puts you on to the next level, and you go from an energy expert to an energy manager. So there's an element of a game to it as well, which again, it sounds a little bit gimmicky, but it works very well and keep people coming back to the app and getting them to buy into it. This is my favourite app that I've seen in the last couple of months, and I hope it's relevant to anyone who works in energy. This should be a good one for you. It's a genius idea, and it's so simple. iSol Buddy created this, and basically, you take your iPhone, and if you're looking at installing solar panels, you take your iPhone and you go to the point in the roof as you're looking to do it. You might have two points that you're thinking of putting the panels in. The iPhone knows where you are, obviously, with your GPS. So there's an accelerometer in here which measures the tilt of the phone. So you basically tilt the phone towards the sky, and it reads basically exactly where you are in the tilt of it, and it communicates with data from a satellite, and it throws you back a graph of the sunlight that will hit that particular spot over the next, I think it's over a year. So the irradiation that will actually hit your phone will be measured. So you can pick where the best spot on your roof for the solar panels will be. Simple idea, but it really uses the phone to the absolute maximum. Great value back to the users, and this app supports a consultancy business, so it's been driving sales for this business since they launched it. So it's not just a marketing app as such, this has a real sales function as well. Incidentally, the Energy Manager app that I spoke about, that could have been launched by any energy management company out there, just that it so happened the CITA got there first. And this would have been a huge branding opportunity, a huge marketing opportunity for any company to get into the hearts and minds of people when it comes to managing their energy. So I would like to ask people to look at tools or applications that they feel that they can give back to people that will help drive their business or help drive their brand forward. I'm sure there's some architects here. There's hundreds and thousands of tools out there for architects on mobile, and this is just an on-site calculator called the Architect's Formulator. There's lots of these out there. Just to give you an idea, if you do have a smartphone, have a look through the app stores, you'll find something that will be relevant to you. So this is good. I mean, you can put in things like how many bricks you need to build a wall, how much cement is needed for a job. It measures things like maximum loads, acoustics. There's about 400 or 500 formulas in here, which are all usable on site, obviously. This is one that I know Peter did, the site cleanup. Which is, I suppose, an earlier version of what he's doing now. This solves a real problem. Obviously, on site, there's often a problem with contractors leaving mess behind them or not clean up after themselves. This is a way of tracking that particular event, and you can send non-conformance notifications to them. So it's for the site manager to keep an eye on all of his subcontractors. Beauty of this, it solves a real problem on site, which any site manager will tell you there is. It reduces paperwork significantly, and you can take direct action against the person who's made the misdemeanor. In terms of just showcase apps, this is an app done by a firm of architects in the UK called Make Architects, which you may have heard of, a global business that have done a lot of work around the world. This works really well. So they've used some of the device functions, mainly really the design capabilities of the smartphone, and some of the GPS. Goes through all of the projects that they've done, category by category, and they've used the global GPS map to pinpoint where they've done them. So you just tap into the map and it will open up that project. Again, there's a bit of information on each of the projects they've done, and again drawings and artist impressions of work that they've done. The beauty of this is that no internet connection is needed for it. So if you're looking at doing a showcase app, and you're out with a client, you don't have to worry about Wi-Fi, you don't have to worry about 3G. All of this is available offline because it's downloaded within the app itself. This type of thing works beautifully on a tablet or an iPad. because of the bigger screen. So I would urge you all to potentially look at doing something if you're in the architecture sector, and to use the tablet technology, whether it be iPhone or Android tablet, to help you with your business. So, meant to say at the beginning, the reason I am here is I've been talking to Suzanne and Alan Hoare about creating an app for CITA. We're in the early stages and we're trying to devise, I suppose, the right way to go about it. So we would ask you, the members, to come back to us if you have any ideas, what you would like to see within your own members app. We have a couple of ideas ourselves. We're looking at perhaps doing a technology directory or a software resource for members of the AEC community. But again, we're very much open to what the functionality of this app could be, and we're hoping to get it off the ground in the next couple of months. That's CITA's mobile website, which is does what it says in the tin. It's good for us for a mobile website, but it's the first step, I suppose, in bringing CITA onto the next level, which hopefully will be an iPhone app. So what I would say to you is there's a lot of technology out there in smartphones. I didn't go too heavy on the technology today because there's a lot there. There's a lot to go through. The first thing I would say to you is that if you have a business and you have a website, get a mobile website, because when people see you on their mobiles, they expect to get a good experience, they expect to have a good user experience, they expect the site to render properly. There's nothing worse than opening a website on your phone and not opening properly. So a mobile website should be your first step. Be on the apps that your clients are probably already on: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I know Suzanne mentioned the social media links earlier on. That's a talk for another day probably. Next thing then is to build your own app. Go like. Don't simply replicate your website, waste the money. Try and innovate with it. Use calculators, estimate generators, functional tools that use the phone to sell your business or to get into the hands and hearts and minds of your potential customers. This will attract attention for you and demonstrate your market leadership. The last thing I would say is obviously market your app. No point having an app if you don't market it. Use social media. Use QR codes, which are two-dimensional barcodes, which you can place on any marketing material that you have, to allow you to download your app. Use other websites. Do whatever you have to do to get it out there. But I would urge you all to look at smartphone technology. It's here to stay, and people are on their phones. They're doing business on their phones, and I reckon that you can probably all do more business on your phones as well. So that's all I have to say. I'm more than willing to take any questions. Thanks for listening, and over to the floor. Thanks. Yeah.
Sorry, a question on the pricing of apps.
Yeah.
My understanding is the average price, I think, is 79 cents for an app.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe not for a business. Personally, I think 10 or 20 euro for an app might be too much.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see the free business model whereby it's supported by advertising that gets a better return?
Yeah.
Or do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. 79 cents for an app is about right, I think. You know, like the apps that I'm doing at the moment are all free, and I would be looking to have a sponsorship element or an advertising element. Probably the way it's going to go is that there'll be two options. So the consumer will have a choice to take the app with ads, which they won't pay for, or the app without ads, which they'll pay for. Or you download the app without ads and you download the app with ads and you get little pop-ups asking you, do you want to go ad free? Yeah. And if you do, you can pay for it. If you're charging 20 or 30 euros for an app, there want to be a hell of a lot of value in there. And there are some apps out there that have that value, that you are getting serious value back, which it could be worth like thousands of euros in terms of what you're getting. So for some of the smaller apps, I think they should be free. For some of the ones that deliver real functionality, then I think it's fair enough to charge for them, you know. Yeah.
You haven't mentioned augmented reality technology like Layer or anything, but that's it's really picking up on urban forums, platforms,
yeah.
You know, the instant overlaying of what you see. Any thoughts or hints on that?
It's brilliant. I love it, and I don't know if you've seen there was a video on YouTube a couple of days ago about a guy who got a tattoo with a QR code on it, and it was basically put your phone over it and it opens up an augmented reality of an animation of the rest of his tattoo, and it's live and it looks amazing. The world's the limit there. The sky's the limit with what can be done with augmented reality. I haven't seen so much of it in Ireland.
No, I mean, an IT friend of mine in work just showed it to me. He says a translation tool, for example. You know, you see a sign, you're in Spain, you see a sign in Spanish, you hold it in front of your app.
And it translates for you.
It actually projects the sign back on your phone with the English translation, as if it was on the arrow. There's enormous potential there in construction, tendering, Europe, you know.
Okay, well that's interesting. Yeah, I mean that's what today is about. I mean I don't claim to be an expert in construction or architecture, but I'm really open to listening about what you think the technology can be used for, and if it's possible that we can work together and do something with it. I think augmented reality is definitely something that's going to increase in importance. Even things like translating menus in your different countries, but for your own sectors.
Product specification. You know, you see some interesting product and it's only in Spanish or something.
Yeah.
Traveling, you can capture it.
Yeah. So it localizes the text. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely opportunities there. But by all means, let's have a chat about it afterwards and see. Yeah.
Just to say, on augmented reality, there's a Namaland app, so that you download the app and you hold your phone and it shows you where the NAMA sites are in town, allegedly.
Yeah, no,
then, there's also, what else? I think
no, it's true.
That sort of thing originated in the Netherlands, where property firms like Daft were using, basically you set your settings for, say, a 3-bed under 300,000 or whatever, set a range, the location, and gives you the actual, shows you where they are on the map on your phone when you're standing there in town or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, as I said, like, the technology is there, and the sky's the limit. So a good app, it's all about good ideas, and that's the only. We wouldn't have any apps without the ideas. So I'm, I suppose, urging you all to come to me with any ideas you might have, and we can do something. But yeah, it's endless in terms of what's possible with smartphones right now, and I think we're only at the beginning of it. You know, when the next versions come out, there's going to be even bigger functionality. Some scary stuff coming down the line, I think, but good, obviously.
Sorry, I think an important issue to address is, and you mentioned a few applications that make work offline where you don't have connectivity.
Yeah.
I mean, connectivity in the city is patchy. 3G connectivity is patchy. You nearly always get a slow, maybe GPRS connection, but you can't rely on it. So being able to work in an offline mode is important, whether it's Android or iPhone, whether it's a phone or a tablet.
Tablet, yeah.
You know, around the city and around the country, connectivity isn't always a given.
Yeah, I know.
Some way of having your drawings or having your documentation on the handheld device.
Yeah, yeah. So you feel there's a good opportunity there for your sector. Are you in architecture yourself?
I'm a surveyor, quantity surveyor.
Surveyor, okay, right, great. So brilliant for your sector then. Like the mobile signal or mobile penetration in this country still isn't great, despite the fact they say that it is. It's very patchy, particularly in rural areas, to say. So the beauty of an app is, and this is what sets it out from browsing online or a mobile website, is that everything is available offline, so you do not need an internet connection, and everything is available to you. So if you're with the client, you don't have to worry about it going down, you don't have to worry about Wi-Fi, and I think it would work obviously very, very well for your own sectors particularly.
The problem is that the mobile companies can't keep up with the demand for bandwidth for mobile bandwidth. I mean, the size of the mobile networks, the amount of violent information transferred on them was 3 times the size of the entire internet in 2000.
Yeah.
They were figures from Cisco.
Yeah.
So the city at different times, I was just working the forecourts a couple of weeks back, and I went in and tested it on a Monday morning, and it worked fine over a 3G modem. I went back on a Friday afternoon, and the signal, it was just saturated with bars from our smartphones and that. So connectivity is a huge issue.
It is a huge issue. It is a huge issue, and it's as more people come online and use their phones, it's going to get worse. So it's apps are really, they're not just pretty. There's a real function. There's a real reason for them to be there. Anybody else? No. Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening.